Welcome to Sisters Connect, a podcast that celebrates the amazing sister friends that I admire and who keep me inspired. I'm your host, Kimberly Sumter.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shanta Blue. I am the co-owner of Blue Counseling and Wellness Center, and we are a mental health and nutrition counseling services private practice. So we like to support especially Black women and helping them transform their lives and prioritize themselves because they're always taking care of everybody else. I would define sisterhood as being there to uplift, support, and guide those who are a part of your life and who care about you and you care about them, so we can all grow and level up together.
Thank you so much, Shanta. I visited her booth at the Sisters in Business Expo that took place in Newark, New Jersey over the weekend. I also want to give a special shout out to the Sisters in Business founder, Aisha Taylor Issa. Not only did she produce an incredible event, but she also opened up the only Black-owned retail shop in the Jersey Gardens Mall in New Jersey. It's beautifully curated with products from Black women-owned brands, and you have to visit the store. If not in person, definitely go online. You can visit her at sistershop.com. And I also want to thank you for joining me for episode number 56 of the Sisters Connect podcast. Today I'll be talking to my sister friend, Reka Robinson. She's a certified life coach and founder of the Single You Academy and podcast. Today she's going to talk about how she freed herself from an abuser and the pivotal moment that led her to share her personal story and discover her calling. You can visit her website at singleyouacademy.com. Now it's time to connect. Hey, Reka.
Hey, Kim.
So I am super excited to be able to talk to you for so many reasons. Number one, you are a radio sister. I used to be a radio personality back in the day.
So technically, I stepped down in June, my last final show. As sad as it was, as traumatizing as it was, there was a lot of drama going on. I decided in June, this past June 2021, which, by the way, my birthday was June 29th. Yay. So it was right around my birthday that I literally decided to choose me and lean more into what I'm doing now as a single girls life coach. So yes, I'm a HBCU baby. And technically, I guess I've been in radio since I was 19 and I'm 38 now. So from Howard, I went to Kiss FM in Seattle because I'm from Seattle. Go Hawks all day. And then from Seattle, I went to Indianapolis and I was there for 5 years on Radio Now 100.9. And then here back in Washington State, I'm in what is called the Tri-Cities. And so I was on a station called Power 99.1. But now I'm like really leaning into what I believe God is calling me into this new season. So.
And I love that. And it's all about that transition. And for anyone who doesn't know about radio, in order for you to elevate in your career in radio, you have to go from market to market, from station to station. Yep. And that is a lot. So you're having to reinvent yourself everywhere you go for every city. So trust me.
Yes. Yeah. And when I tell you I started at Kiss FM in Seattle, I was midnight to 5 a.m. And I feel like I'm the last generation who got that training, where in radio, they either track the overnight or they just play music. And so I was midnight to 5. And then when I went to Indianapolis, I was doing middays. And then the past 8 years, I had been doing the morning show here. So I literally worked my way up.
What you're doing right now comes from a challenge that you were having in your life.
Let's start by saying my parents are baby boomers. So my dad will be 70 in February and my mom she just turned 67. I love my parents. I had a wonderful childhood. It was unicorns and rainbows and popcorn for little Reka. The only thing, if I have to say, and this is not to throw my parents under the bus, again, they were baby boomers. So I believe that they thought, she will see a happy marriage. She will see this dynamic. And then one day, maybe she will achieve. So they did not really have conversations on how they got to the marriage that they have. This beautiful marriage. My parents are still disgusting to me today. I feel 12 every time they want to kiss each other on the mouth. And I have that dynamic. I do. And, but like I said, I do believe that there were conversations that were missing. And then you throw the church aspect in it. And the only message that I got from the church about single and dating and marriage was you wait till you're married, then you get married and you live happily ever after. And if you don't stay a virgin until you're married, then you're going to hell, or you're not going to get the type of marriage you want. There's all of these things that you must do as a woman to get X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. So that is how I operated. That's what I thought I had to do. And unfortunately, I'll just focus on the relationship I had from the years of 2015 to 2017. Kimberly, how much time do we have? Because I have so many stories about how I was trying to fit a square peg in a round hole with that emotionally abusive relationship. And when I was in it, I did not know that I was being abused, because when they told us about abuse, all they said was, well, as long as he's not hitting you. So nobody hit me. He never hit me. But the emotional scars, the always constantly telling me that I was a cheater, and all of these things that I was quote unquote doing to him, that I would try to shapeshift and morph into the woman that I thought he wanted me to be, into the woman that I thought he needed me to be. It's good that we are nurturers, but sometimes that nurturing self can backfire on us. And it literally backfired on me. I thought that I could create the man that I wanted him to be. And it was not working for me. And then that relationship ended end of June, right around my birthday, early July of 2017. And I was in Atlanta at that time, and because we did the long distance thing. I'm from Seattle, like I said, he's Atlanta. And he broke up with me, oddly enough, saying that he couldn't trust me. Mind you, the whole time of the relationship, now I didn't figure this out till we broke up, he was cheating on me the whole time. So his projection on me, which again, I didn't know that term projection even back then, but I know it now. The person screaming the loudest about what they don't like is because they're doing it. And he definitely was. And of course, I didn't know that then. But yeah, he broke up with me, and I remember literally crying. And he probably thought I was crying about the breakup, but I was crying because the release of that weight, like, oh my God, I don't have to make this work. Thank God for releasing me. Because at that time, I wasn't woman enough to stand up for myself. I was constantly walking on eggshells, constantly minimizing myself for him, that I was so afraid to even break up with him because, relationships are hard. But this is what we got to go through and then I'll get my happily ever after. But yeah, so then he breaks up with me, and I remember I changed my ticket. I was like, okay, cool. I changed my ticket. It cost me $600. I had to put it on a credit card. I didn't have $600 back then. And he took me to the airport. I came back home, and in this house that I'm sitting in right now, I walked into my house with my bags and everything, and I literally screamed, "What the F?" I said the 4-letter word, and I was like, what the F was that? And I went on a journey to figure out what that was. This is not normal. Am I that dumb that I would be in a relationship like this? Why would I allow a relationship like this? I come from a 2-parent household. I am a smart girl. I went to Howard University. Like, I just could not believe that I would allow it. And I didn't even blame him. Not to say that how he treated me was right, but I knew that it was something about me, because I'm the common denominator. Because I felt like even before him, I had been in some situations that weren't super healthy. They just weren't as heavy as this one.
I went through virtually the exact same thing, but I was in my 40s, my early 40s. Yeah. And it was such a horrible situation. I couldn't figure out, how did I get here? Because when you are in it, you don't know how to navigate yourself out of it.
You're the ant on the ground instead of the helicopter in the sky.
Yes.
And thank you for saying that, being in your early 40s, because I get a lot of people saying, oh, you only do that when you're in your 20s. You'll have it together by your 30s and this and that. And I'm like, no, I'm sure you growing up, nobody had a conversation with you about what makes a healthy relationship versus unhealthy, or what is healthy hard versus dysfunctional. Like, right. Nobody is sitting us down and saying, okay, baby girl, this is narcissism. This is projection. This is what you need to look out for. Nobody truly explains what Maya Angelou means about when people show you who they are, believe them. When you believe you're a good woman, right? Which most of us are, we believe that, oh, I can change him. He will become what I need him to be, because look at me, I'm so good. I can cook for him. I have my finances together. The sex, I can watch me, whip him into shape. We think that we can make somebody become. He already has to be that person. And then you go on the journey and grow together. So I had to go on my journey. And after that breakup, like I said, I started asking, how did I get here? Just like you did. And so at this time, you're going to like this, Kim, I was still on the radio doing the morning show. Everybody knew. I used him as content from my show. Everybody knew that I was with this guy. And when we broke up from July all the way till about November, I didn't say anything. My parents and my co-hosts were the only one that knew that we had broken up, but I didn't tell anybody because, again, that shame of how could I allow this to happen? What a stupid woman I am, you know? And then my co-host was like, hey, I'm getting a lot of messages from listeners. They want to know, like, are you still with your boyfriend or whatever? And so I started getting a lot of questions about if we were together because they wanted to know. My listeners weren't necessarily being nosy. I was somebody who shared my life, right? I'm a personality. I'm not just going to tell you, yeah, that was Britney Spears and now we're going into, Jay-Z. I'm a personality and I was a big life. And so my listeners started to see that I was different. So what I did was I did say we broke up. And I hadn't started sharing yet, but I did say we broke up. It was a terrible relationship. And what I'm about to do, I'm about to go on my own eat, pray, love journey. Now, I didn't have a year because I'm not rich yet. I was like, I'm going to Mexico by myself for Christmas. So I went on a solo trip to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico for 10 days, Christmas of 2017. And I was like, I'm going to go sit and commune with Jesus. And there are 3 questions I asked myself. It was, who am I? Who does God say I am? And how do I want to show up in this world from now on? And from those questions, of course, led me on my own journey of healing. And so to answer your first original question, that's how I arrived at being the single girl's life coach and being a certified NLP life coach. Because when I went on my journey of healing, I said, if having a healthy relationship and how to get it wasn't clear to me, I know that it's not clear to others. And I want to be the woman who provides that clarity. And so, yeah, I became, a self-proclaimed single girls life coach. And I started doing the work with women back in, my first client was November of 2018.
I think it takes a lot of courage for you to then step out and to share your story, because you have to share your story in order to help someone else to be able to find their inner peace. So how did you decide after all of this was done, you're doing this work on yourself? What made you decide that this had to be something bigger than yourself?
Thank you for asking that question. Because, you're right. I could have just been like, all right, I'm healed. Let's go back out in this dating world and do my thing, or not heal myself and blame the men.
Right.
Because some women do that too. Men ain't this, men ain't, and they don't realize you're the common denominator. And I promise you, Kim, I heard God say, I will use this story. And at first I was like, no, you're not. I'm not telling nobody I went through that. What? Yep. I said, God, you a funny one. I heard you wrong. And so when I went on my solo trip, and like I said, I asked those 3 questions, I brought a journal. And I remember at the time, Gabrielle Union was doing her book tour for We're Gonna Need More Wine. And I had bought that book at the airport, and I had brought The Purpose Driven Life by Pastor Rick Warren, because I was like, well, what do people do on solo trips? I don't know. Maybe I'll want to read. Mind you, I wasn't a reader back then. Not for real. But I was like, let me bring the books, because maybe on the beach I'll read or something. That'd be cute, whatever. So the first book I was reading was Gabrielle's book. And Kim, when I tell you, I'm reading the book, and I was like, so Gabrielle has been spying on me, because this book, it was my life story. Her being in a 2-parent household, nobody having the conversation with her, going through the trials and tribulations of really trying to the goal in life is to be married and have kids. That's what they told me. So let me, try to force these situations, and being abused in the midst of all of it. And I have felt seen. And I was like, okay. And then while I was reading The Purpose Driven Life, in the book, Pastor Rick Warren says, your greatest shame will be the thing that heals others. And I got slapped in the face. God snatched my edges and told you, I said I would use this story. And that's why I need you to use it. I need you to be a light for single women. I want you to tell women that you are worthy, regardless of their relationship status. I want you to tell them that singleness is not a punishment. And so reading that book, and then also feeling seen by Gabrielle, I was like, I want to do that for other women. But of course, I still had a little bit more healing to do, and I didn't want to, come out the gate or whatever. And so I did a lot. Like I said, I did a lot of research, reading. got my certificate and really was like, how am I going to teach this though, God? Like, I don't know I'm so confused, you know? And at that time, I didn't know what coaching was. I didn't know the world of that. All I knew was radio personality since I was 19. I was like, I can talk about Kim Kardashian. Let's do that. But slowly and surely, speaking of Kim Kardashian, it started removing that joy of talking about celebrities out of me. And I just felt like I wasn't putting any positivity into the world, anything of substance. And I love making people laugh, and I do like entertaining people. But God kept shifting my heart to it has to be of substance. There has to be a reason. There has to be a why. And when I figured it out, you know, as far as where I was in that moment, I just started blogging. And my listeners, the relationship with them, especially the single women, shifted. It shifted from, oh, Reka, you're so funny, to Reka, I read your blog and my God, you helped me get through this, or I feel less alone. Like we were talking about earlier, like when you go through things like this, you think you're the dumbest woman on the planet. And then when you see somebody that you admire or you feel like has it together and they go through the same thing you do, God is so right. Pastor Rick Warren was so right. It was in my shame and sharing the story that started to heal and help my listeners feel seen. Doing what Gabrielle Union did for me, I was doing for my listeners. And then I grew from there.
And you grew from there. The one thing that you said that just gets me is recognizing that singleness is not a punishment. And this is not just if you're in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s. We're talking women in their 50s, maybe in their 60s, who may have been divorced and they're just looking for that love and that companionship. But there are so many sweet spots in being a single woman. And I know at the time that I was single, it gave me an opportunity to get to know myself better.
Yeah.
And I actually realized that I kind of like myself.
Right.
When you're in a relationship, sometimes you lose who you are.
Yeah.
You're so hyper-focused on the relationship itself or him, but you don't get a chance to enjoy who you are. And when I tell my friends, I love going to the movies and I can go to dinner by myself and I'm good. Let's talk a little bit about that. The singleness not being a punishment, no matter where you are in your life. Why is that so important to know?
One of the scriptures that I read, because again, so I grew up, Christian, and I finally listened to my dad and was like, Christianity is about your relationship with God. You ain't got nothing to do with nothing. You should have blinders on. It's you and God. And so I finally started to read and study my Bible in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 8. Paul actually writes, it is better to be single. He said, to my singles and to my widows, it is better to be single. And then he goes on and explains why and stuff. And when I read that, I picked up my Bible, Kim, and I threw it across the room because I was so angry. Because I don't know what your church experiences were like, but I just feel like church focuses so heavy on getting married. The goal in life is for you to get married and have kids. As a woman, that is your goal. And they don't really help you cultivate a very productive and fun and happy and vibrant single season. Where's the singles ministry in most churches, right? They're just like, oh, singleness is just, you're in purgatory. You're in a waiting period. You just wait until your Boaz comes or whatever. And so that made me so angry. And when I read that and read the reason why, and again, Paul talks about being married and there's beauty in marriage too. But there's beauty in singleness, and that's what we forget. And that beauty is, guess what I get to do that my friends don't who are married with kids? I do get to go to the movies by myself. I want to go see Suicide Squad, which is a rated R movie. I'm going. I don't have to be like, well, I can't go because I got the kids and I got to go see Paw Patrol. Life is beautiful, period. It's not just, the joy and the happiness only comes when you have that companion. So it's really like, are you an optimistic person? Are you a glasses half full or a glasses half empty type of person in the way you view your singleness? And if you view it as a negative, your life is definitely going to be harder. And you also have to, if you view it as a negative, understand that you're coming from a deficit. So then you're looking for the guy to fill you up.
So true.
Because we think two halves, right? And then you come together and you're one. No. It's 1 + 1 = 1. So it's not, God doesn't, why would you think that God wants you to find somebody to complete you? No, please show me that in the Bible. And then also, if you really study that, why do you think God promised you a husband? He didn't. It's not a promise. Does he want us to be in communion and companionship? Absolutely. But that doesn't have to be in a romantic partner, and it doesn't have to come by 22 and a half. What if you don't get it till 55? Or what if you never get it? Like, I'm just in a space where I'm like, and I hope I stay here, and I know I'm only 38 and I'm super young still, but I really hope that I stay in a space of, I really don't care if I ever get married. If it comes, great. And I pray and I ask God, don't close my heart. I just want to guard my heart as you asked me to. I don't want to miss a blessing if you have it, but I do want to always be in the wonderment of being single, and the joy of it, and sit in this space and know, listen, if I make it to 83 and I ain't got nothing but my golden girls, then we good.
Tell me about your Single You Academy. And then you also have a podcast. Who is the woman who should listen to your show?
So you're the woman who thinks of singleness as the glass is half empty. You are a professional woman who you have your life together, right? Like, this is why we think, oh, I'm a good woman and I can create in him what I want in a man. Because you're like, yo, my professional life is dope. I'm paying my bills. I own my own house. INDEPEND. I'm an independent woman. I got this. But your love life is trash. Mm-hmm. You can sing with the best of them. Drake's song, Know Yourself, Know Your Worth. But I would argue that you don't know your worth if you are allowing this man to walk all over you. Mm-hmm. You don't. To me, it is in your boundaries that you show yourself you love yourself. It's boundaries to me that is really self-love and self-care. It's not about massages and bubble baths, and you can add, that could be like a part of it. That's great. I love massage with the best of them. I love getting my nails done. But you can get your nails done and look all good on the outside. But again, on the inside, you don't know your self-worth. You are sad. You hate being single. You think you're in a space of like, I'm less than because I don't have. And so that is the woman who should not only listen to my podcast, but also maybe you need some coaching. And what I always say to my podcast listeners and on my platform is, listen, what you're trying right now with men, how well is that working out for you? Mm-hmm. So if you've never sat in a leadership, a mentorship, a pastorship, a coaching, whatever, that teaches you boundaries, how to truly love yourself, then maybe you need to sign up for something like that, right? Mm-hmm, when we want to learn how to drive, we go to driver's ed. When we want to be a doctor, we go to school to be a doctor. We don't take advice from friends like, hey, Kimberly, I need to do this heart surgery on this patient. How do you think I should do it?
Right.
We go to school. We get tools. So if you don't feel like you have the tools to actually be in a relationship that is healthy, if you don't believe that you have the tools to actually know who you are, to know your worth wholeheartedly, then I would say Single You Academy is for sure for you. And there's 4 pillars that I teach inside of Single You Academy, because I truly believe, like you said, I am very happy that I got what I got out of my relationship. I learned a lesson. Mm-hmm. Instead of being bitter, I knew I didn't want to be bitter. I love men. I love my dad. Men are sexy. I love them. Good at muscles, hands. You know what I mean? Like, I love men. And I don't have a problem with marriage. And so I went into, after that relationship was over, I went into my single season as, I know that I don't want to be bitter, but obviously I need to do something else. And so what I believe is what the Bible says, that you can be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so that's what I do with my clients. We go through a 12-week process, and there are 4 pillars that I teach. The first one is, I want you to know who you are deeper than your favorite color. What are your triggers? What are the cycles and patterns that you need to unlearn? What's the programming that you need to unlearn? Okay. And then after you learn that, number 2, know what you want and then know how to get it. Because I think we all know that we want a healthy relationship. We want a fine man. We want da-da-da-da-da. Okay, well, how do you get that though? Because obviously if you're in this cycle of dysfunction with men, you don't know how to get it, right? And so then after that, once you know what you want and how to get it, have the audacity to believe that you can get it. And then number 4, the patience to wait for it. Because that's why we settle, because we don't have the patience. Oh, he'll do. Because I need company. I need a warm body at night. So you settle and you know you don't like him, but you think that you can change him, boo. Why do you think? That's another problem we have, Kimberly. We think we're so good that I can change him. I want to tell women, like, who are you, God? How easy is it for you to change yourself? Think
Oh
about
my
the things that you
gosh.
want to change in yourself that has taken you a while. When you want to lose
Right.
that extra 10 pounds, you're like, but I can't put down the donuts. Like, you can't even change yourself. What makes you think you can change a whole man
Right.
into loving you? And when I say these things, I say it with love because I'm talking to my old version. Girl, I used to think I was God. Oh, I could just mold him. He's Play-Doh. I can't even, wow, he doesn't love me the way I want him to. That has everything to do with him, not anything to do with you. But I think that we get the golden rule, treat others how we want to be treated, wrong.
Right.
It's not about you treating them great so then they become. It's only you treat them great because you're a good person. I'm not treating Kimberly nice because I want Kimberly to be nice to me, or I want Kimberly to be this person that I want her to be. No, I am just doing it because I'm a good person. Now, sometimes it'll work and people will treat you nice or whatever, but you have to understand that that is not the case for most people, especially men. Especially men. They ain't changing for nobody but themselves, okay?
Reka, this was so good. I have to say that you have so much wisdom.
Well, first of all, that means a lot coming from you. I had asked you your age, your age range before we went on. And so I know you're a little bit older than me. So I just want to sit in that for a moment, that you said that to me. And I love that. And you're so right. It's not as easy as just telling you, girl, you should leave him. Mm-hmm. There's a disconnect right now. And so that is what my coaching and my podcast is for. So you can start reprogramming yourself. And so Single You, the podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and all of the streaming platforms. And then on Instagram, my DMs are open. My DMs, slide into my DMs if you want. It goes down in the DMs. So if you have more questions, if you're interested in Single You Academy, I would love to have a conversation with you. And then also you could just check out singleyouacademy.com as well.
It has been a pleasure speaking to you. You are so full of amazing, beautiful energy. I will be listening. We will be listening to the podcast, and we will be connecting with you more. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, sis. Thank you so much for being a part of today's conversation. If you want to get more information on today's guest or our previous guests, make sure you visit our website at sistersconnect.com. Until next time, see you soon. Bye.